Hi there to my fire dominant people. Welcome to your weekly reading. And what that means is in your astrology chart, if you go to astro.com, you can look and see where the majority of your planets fall in what element. So you might know that and just have come here because of that, or know that that's where your sun sign is, or just resonate with fire. You just feel fiery, and that's your style. However you got here, or the title, right? The title might have spoken to you. However you got here, I'm glad you're here, and hopefully this will resonate with you. Let's go to the Wisdom cards by Louise Hay and Robert Holden to see what we're focusing on. Oh, all right. Well, a couple fell, so just one. That was my bad. Probably my shuffling skills. See what we're focusing on today, this week, for my fire dominant people. This year, I do the mental work for positive change. My motto this year is, I go for the joy. Life is here for me to enjoy today. That sounds very fire dominant, actually, right? To enjoy, to find the humor, right? What you're passionate about. Interesting. Let's get some oracle cards to see what else wants to come out. Codependency. Addictions are affecting your romantic life. Maybe you're working through some codependent patterning, right? From inherited ancestral trauma around that, right? The purification of fire can help work on that attachment. Speak words of love. Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10. So speak words of love. You know, sometimes fire dominance can have foot and mouth syndrome, right? Particularly Sagittarians. I'm a Sagittarius. We don't hide the truth very well, and sometimes we don't temper it, right? That's why temperance is the Sagittarius card. And you know, the fire elements are learning temperance, right? Fire dominants are learning temperance overall, to temper those fiery emotions and impulses. So learning a balance here in relationship. You know, sometimes a relationship was modeled to us that was we deem toxic, unhealthy, where someone put another person's needs, right? Their needs didn't exist, and they put the other person's needs, right, as their own. And that can be indicative of a codependent pattern. And maybe you saw that as a fire dominant and thought, not me, that's not going to happen. And there's some overcompensation happening here, right? Almost like my way or the highway. And the control is just a little more covert, right? That, you know, yeah, I'm not dealing with that. And that can be, you know, when fire dominant people are in relationship, that can be par for the course, in that there's less attachment, right? They can be on to the next rather quickly. So maybe this response can be maybe an overcompensation for this modeling of behavior that's, I got to get far away from that, right? And maybe it can then come in the back door because it's a shadow aspect. So maybe the learning curve is learning to speak with love, right? Learning to speak words of love. Learning communication in general that's less harsh, maybe, in nature, a little more compassionate. Maybe you're learning to do that for yourself too, and that's part of this ability to connect with others and enjoy life more this year, apparently, according to the first card. And body changes. Body changes. You know, maybe part of the tempering of this charged energy or fiery emotions is changing up how you're moving your body, right? You know, working out at the gym, competition, competitive sports, things like that can be very fiery. So maybe it's not medicine for a fiery person, right? Maybe finding other methods, whether it be dancing or mindful exercise like yoga or Pilates, Qigong, something that slows you down, tempers the energy, provides medicine to the body, right? Can be helpful as well. And notice how you hold the body. And, you know, sometimes the physiology shifts according to where we're carrying wounding, right? And then the flow is disrupted of life force energy. So if you notice that your chest tends to be jutted out with your shoulders back, but it's kind of it's not in balance, right? It's kind of an overcompensation. This can be an attribute of, I believe the archetype is the endurer, right? Someone who's not in touch with their emotional needs, someone who's not that in touch with their emotions, because they were conditioned that way, right? In part. And they just keep going no matter what their emotions are saying, right? So that can be indicative of someone who's so out of touch with that part of them that they just keep going despite what they're feeling emotionally. And then it blows up, right? It eventually blows up. And then there's this controlling aspect to that person sometimes. So maybe we're looking at this pattern. Maybe that's one pattern we're looking at. Let's go to, what's this deck called? The Angels and Ancestors deck by Kyle Gray, and see if there's any more information about this that wants to come up. Okay, snake, shedding old skin. Right, and see how there's a disruption here in the flow, right? Because there's an overcompensation. I mean, that's not actually what's being represented, but interesting that, you know, the snake can represent the spinal column, which is why we want alignment. That's optimal flow of life force. And there's a bit of a kink there, isn't there, in that snake as it's drawn. So maybe we're looking at that with the body changes as well. right? As we shift and change, the way we hold our bodies can shift and change as well, and vice versa. If we shift the way we hold our bodies, it changes the way we flow. So, and how we show up. So that might be actually something we're looking at. And then the shed old skin. So there's definitely a change happening here, something shifting. And maybe it is your capacity to enjoy life, right? To be in touch with what brings you joy, and to not being afraid. Maybe there is this association with, there's a ceiling with how much joy I can feel because for some reason, and maybe that's enmeshment, right? Maybe dad was never a very happy person. He was always depressed, and I can't let him suffer alone. So this is part of your allegiance to somebody. Or, mom suffered a lot in life. It would be a betrayal for me to feel joy. Something like that. Sometimes that's ancestral patterning, and we can be looking at that. And it's similar to codependency. It's an emotional enmeshment, right? And that can be a way we show love, speaking the words of love. And that could be a way we show love to a parent or an ancestor, right? Could be grandparent, whatever it is. We show our love by not allowing them to suffer alone. But in reality, we honor them by having a successful, happy life. And maybe you're learning that, you're discovering that, you're seeing this enmeshment and you're working on it, right? You're working on changing that. And that could be through body work, right? Maybe that's why body work changes came up. Maybe you're looking into energy healing, body talk, right? A system of healing, acupuncture, yoga, right? There's so many avenues here as you shed your old skin. And those patterns that aren't even yours, right? So that's really exciting that these shifts are happening. Let's go to the archetype cards by Carolyn Meese and see what part of you wants to take the spotlight, or maybe is lurking in the shadows and creating this. Just one aspect. Mystic. The light attribute revels in intimate union with the divine. Shadow attribute, delusional rapport with the divine. So maybe that's part of what you're working towards, right? Maybe you've had an awakening recently. Or maybe you've hit bottom with this pain threshold, right? Maybe your pain threshold was reached and you're just ready to shift, get out of this. Oftentimes that's the greatest motivator, right? Is when we hit that bottom, that rock bottom with pain, right? Maybe you've just kept going and ignoring the signs, right, of burnout or whatever it is. And it's time. It's time, and you know it's time. Let's go to the Gilded Tarot by Chiara Marchetti and see if there's any more details of the story that want to be fleshed out. Any more information for my fire dominant people. Body changes. It's interesting that it's orange, right? The color of fire. And with the body changes, what's coming in is oftentimes fire dominant, at least in Ayurvedic medicine, right? If you're Pitta dosha, they tend to be mesomorphs, right? People that gain weight easily as well as lose weight easily. I'm Pitta Kapha, but I'm a mesomorph, and right, yeah, mesomorphs can lose weight without exercising, just by changing up the diet, but they build muscle very quickly. So if you combine eating properly with working out, the changes in your body are so quick. If you resonate with that, that might be another reason that's coming up. And just another layer of the fire dominance, right? That Pitta dosha in Ayurvedic medicine. Maybe these are things you're coming in contact with, right? Maybe this is information that is coming in for you right now. You had an awakening of some kind. You're on this mystical journey, right? Because fire is also about illumination, and things are maybe illuminating for you. Okay, so at the bottom of the deck, we do have the Nine of Swords, and this can be that rock bottom emotionally, right? Where the charged energy and the emotions, once ignored, gets us awake at night with anxiety, nightmares, right? It just needs an outlet, it needs a release, and that can wake us up. So maybe there is an awakening, and literally that's someone waking up in the middle of the night, right? So maybe there is this awakening. And maybe you're having these vivid dreams, right? That have a lot of meaning for you as this mystic part is revealing things to you. We also have the Seven of Pentacles. And in this deck, the Seven of Pentacles looks like assessing the fruits of the thoughts and deeds that have been made manifest, right? Just assessing. And this can be part of this, change, doing the mental changes, right? Because that's where we plant the seeds in the manifestation process. And then we're looking at the manifestations that are popping up and maybe not loving it. So we're tweaking, right? Because this person shows up to gather the fruits, but the basket remains empty. Maybe she's not really liking what's growing right now. We have Temperance. We were talking about Temperance, weren't we? Temperance is Sagittarius, but all fire dominants can use a healthy dose of temperance, right? Tempering that fire. Learning to balance all of the elements. Learning what's right for you. Right? And because you build muscle so quickly, maybe something that is mind-body, like yoga, is really beneficial. Right? Maybe more of a lengthening. And maybe your body is a creative outlet for you. And then we have the Nine of Cups, which is about wish fulfillment. Right? This person in the deck is raising his chalice. He's, in celebration of wishes fulfilled, wishes granted. So learning to temper by assessing the manifestations that are showing, right? That's how we know, that's how we assess if our thoughts and feelings and deeds are on point. What are they creating? What's showing up in the physical world? We can use that as feedback to tweak. So tempering, having more patience maybe, allowing things to reveal, not picking the pentacles before they're ripe, right? Not picking the fruits before they're ripe. And maybe enjoying the process, right? Enjoying our process more. And then we have the Two of Swords, which can sometimes be about willful ignorance, not wanting to decide. It can also be going inside, right? So not only looking outside for what's revealing, but also our emotions. How are we feeling, right? Instead of looking with our eyes, going inside. What's your intuition telling you, right? Maybe that's part of this mystical path and quest. As the inner mystic awakens, being able to see the unseen, right? Having intuitive gifts awakening. This is all very interesting. Let's go to the angel therapy cards to see if there's any more information for the fire dominant people watching. Integrity. Integrity. Align your actions so that they match your values and inner knowingness of what's right for you. Align your actions so that they match your values and inner knowingness of what's right for you. Yeah, I feel like that's exactly what we've been talking about. We're working on alignment here, right? About tempering, developing patience, right? Getting out of our codependent patterning or overcompensation, right? Which is still out of integrity and out of alignment for what's right for you. So healing that. Integrity is also about self-discipline, right? Doing what's right and what you know is right, even when it's hard, even when it's challenging. And maybe that's the lesson. These are the lessons that are coming up for you right now. And, part of the learning curve on the spiritual path is doing the work, right? And not needing to be, showy about it. What's coming in is I had a sound healing. I studied sound and music as medicine, sound and music meditation facilitation. And one of my professors was Alexandre Tanu, and he was so against. He would teach us how to play tuning forks and singing bowls, and he was so against being showy about it, about really showing. He's like, that's too much. Just do the work. Just just do what will elicit a healing response. Don't be showy and flashy about it. And so maybe there's a part of this, he thought that was so out of integrity, and took something away, which is interesting that this card is showing up about, and you know, the part of the shadow of the mystic is delusional rapport with divine. So instead of being showy and flashy, about the work, right? And you know, all of a sudden, you're wearing flower crowns and, you know, you don't have to show and display and present as a spiritual or a mystic. You can just do the work, right? And still be exactly who you are and have integrity in that. So, it's funny that's coming up, but, so it's about choosing, right? Choosing the thoughts and actions and feelings, right? That we don't always feel like we're choosing, of course, but we can certainly choose where we put our focus and what we align to. It takes practice, but that's what it's all about, right? Is practicing these things so that we do feel we have more freedom and choice in that. Working out the patterns of the past, which you have a skill at because of this illuminating factor of the fire element within you, right? An ability to shift quickly, right? Not getting too attached to the past and patterns. And purification, that's huge with fire. Fire is very purifying. So what the themes that are coming up here is alignment and integrity and temperance, right? Tempering the energy, showing patience that, you know, you know, there is potential for quick change with fire dominant people, but we also want to temper that with patience and knowing that, you know, we need to enjoy the journey as well. And maybe that's part of what you're experiencing, right? That's part of this enjoyment, this positive change. You're going to do the mental work to enjoy the journey. I go for the joy. I enjoy today, right? Even if you're not at your destination yet. You know, is there a destination? Or is there just progress we can celebrate? Let's do one last card to wrap it all up. With the Crazy Sexy Love Notes deck by Chris Carr. This is a beautiful deck. And I believe all of these decks are available in my Amazon store, which is linked in the description if you're interested in getting your own decks. Sometimes they can be great tools with the beautiful artwork and the positive affirmations, right? It can be nice to just select one every day to start yourself off on a positive note. Interesting. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. It's so interesting that that integrity came up, right? Tell the truth. Communicate with integrity. You may need to level with someone. This person could even be you. Are you saying you're fine when you don't mean it? Interesting. Are you swallowing your needs because you don't want to rock the boat? When we hide the truth, it eventually comes out in destructive ways. Act with integrity and say what's on your mind. While honesty may lead to short-term discomfort, your long-term peace and happiness are worth it. And maybe this is exactly what you're working on right now. You know, fire signs tend to be honest and truthful. that maybe have the reputation of being so in a harsh way or very, very direct way. And maybe there's a more graceful approach, a more loving approach, right? Maybe that's part of what you're learning. How do I express my truth in integrity and with honesty, right? Not in such a flashy, showy way or so intense, right? How can I gently illuminate the truth in integrity? It's always amazing to me when that happens. And, the mystical quest is all about the truth, right? Authenticity, our path to truth. So it's very interesting. And there are some black bunnies. Have you been seeing rabbits around? It is springtime. Communicate with integrity. Leveling with yourself, right? Getting real. I hope this was helpful. And if this resonated, please do let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for liking the video and subscribing to the channel. I'm doing my best to put out helpful, useful content, right? Hopefully a little inspiring to support you on your path, even while I'm going through it too, right? The emotional climate of this time with all its challenges. So I hope this was useful. And if you have other dominant elements, there might be medicine in those readings for you. So check out those readings as well. And thanks for liking the video and subscribing. I think I said that. Anyway, that's really valuable to me. So thank you for doing that. And if you want a personal session, personal reading, other social media platforms, all that info is in the description of this video. All right. I will see you in the next video. Bye, Fire Dominance.